Signal detection theory in psychology. Signal detection theory acts as a method of assessing the capability to distinguish between data-holding patterns, referred to as stimuli in human beings and signals in machinery, and arbitrary occurrences. Random incidences interrupt the flow of information and are called noise. In line with the theory, there are numerous determinants of the way a person will detect a stimulus and the degree of its threshold. Such determining factors elucidate why the variation of threshold influences the capacity to discern, usually revealing how concerned one is to the task, objective, or issue at hand. Attributes such as experience, anticipation, psychological condition, such as fatigue, and other aspects may affect the employed threshold. For example, a guard has the probability of distinguishing weaker stimuli during confrontation than in peaceful conditions attributable to lesser criterion. Nevertheless, in wartime, a guard might also take harmless stimuli as threats. The research question that will guide this study is as follows: how can signal detection theory help in the determination of a person's bias and judgment? Signal detection theory presumes that a person is not an inactive receiver of information but an active verdict maker who can realize intricate judgments under situations of doubt. Article summary. Contrary to observational data that cannot be changed, linguistic information may be produced to target a particular supposition in a tactical approach. In their article, Huang and Ferreira affirm that acceptability judgment is a vital tool in language studies. A considerable form of linguistic information emanates from decisions of the clarity of verbal stimuli. To improve reliability, there is a need to employ formal measures that are principally employed in psychology to gather linguistic judgment information. Formal measures entail the increment of the sample size of subjects and objects, ensuring enhanced regulation of confounds, and avoidance of bias anchored in conformance to any linguistic theory. Signal detection theory is applicable in numerous psychological studies that include the detection of memory and medical evaluation. Some of the advantages of signal detection theory are that it can establish the appropriateness of participants to distinguish suitable sentences from undesirable ones and determine a person's bias and judgment. Observation. I invited 10 of my friends to the school laboratory in a bid to make observations related to bias judgment in line with the signal detection theory. For 5 respondents, aspects planned to bias response were carefully manipulated, while for the control group, the other 5 friends, they were not subjected to manipulation. The 10 friends were to gather data on aggression while observing recorded clips of simulated teacher-student interrelations. The rationale behind the observation was to establish whether concise responses and contingencies for scoring correctly may bias responding consistently. For all the sessions, every response was carefully plotted with the graph showing the correct reply alongside the vertical axis and the false one along the horizontal axis. The outcome established that reaction and contingencies had a consistent bias on responding, and accuracy moderately influenced the outcome. Learning from the article. From the article and observation, one can establish that credibility and acceptability occur freely, and the perceptual distance involving the two should not differ since it reveals the ensuing variances. Bias is subject to change because the respondents are prejudiced in their recognition of the suitable stimuli. The manipulation of different aspects in the experiment and observation of how individual sensitivity and bias vary provide a clear depiction of the way credibility interrelates with acceptability.